This is the third video in line with I have given on metaphysical art of war. Now this is mainly on karma yoga, philosophy of action, liberation through action, from action to liberation. That is what is my philosophy of VAJRAMUKTI also. That is the reason I am explaining this third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Here, as it is in second chapter, Arjuna was in a dilemma to select between his people and good people. In the arena, he said, I don't want to fight. So Krishna started explaining him. Now here, Arjuna started asking to Krishna in the third chapter. Arjuna says, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam nyo jayasi keshava. O Krishna, if intellect is higher than the karma, then why you are pulling me to do such an action wherein I killed so many innocent people? And where this society will lead, where the end will take this all away. Then further Arjuna says, Vyamistrenaya vakyena buddhi moyah sivme tat ekam vad nischatya yena shreyo aham apniyam. Why telling me mixed talks, confused talks? Tell me one thing fixed, what should I do? Because you are affecting my intellect. That's what Arjuna says, in this state of my mind. Tell me one thing. Sri Krishna says further, Sri Krishna Vacha, Loke asmin dividhanistha pura prokta maya naga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Among all people, Krishna says, I know two kind of people. One who follows Sankhya philosophy, another one the philosophy of yoga. Na karmanam anarambhan naiskarmyam purusho asnate nacha sanyasanadeva siddhi samadhi gacchati. Not by abstaining from work one gets freedom, nor by renunciation. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krat karyate hai vasa karma sarva prakartir jayam gune. Not for an instant you can get away from the philosophy of karma, because from the thoughts you got this body. Body is every incarnation of karmas. All cells, all are constantly integrating and disintegrating. So your whole body, whole being is every instant undergoing a karma action. So if you say that you are not going to perform an action, you have to totally get away from the action, philosophy of action. You cannot go away. Your body is doing a karma. Whole cosmos is in your body. An action is being performed. That's why I said in my second video, the 5 enemies are within this body. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh and Ahankar. Lust, greed, anger, ego and attachment. All these 5 come out of your body as if boys are coming out. That's why I said in my second chapter. That's what Kabir's philosophy says. Now here Krishna is trying to make Arjuna understand that this is an action you should perform. And now if you are not performing, then I am explaining. He explains further and further and further. He said not every instant you can get away from the karma. Karma, your body is, your main being is karma, action. Karmendriyani sanyamya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudatma mithyachara sauchyate. One who restrains the senses, but his mind dwells on the sense objects, he deludes himself as if he is pretending. In fact, he is deluding himself. It's the kind of dilemma he is into. Astitva indriyani mansa niyam yarbhate Arjuna karmendriya karma yogam sakta sa vishishyate. Who controls his senses by mind and takes work from instruments of sense organs, That man is special, so says Arjuna. One who controls his senses by his mind and then take work from the sense organs as required. He is the one who is special, that's what he says. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jyayo he karmanaha sharir yatra pichate prasiddhyeda karmanaha. Performing action when required is better than not performing. Because you cannot avoid karma, it's your very nature of the body. You think, so you are, and your body is, because you have thought in the past and you're going on thinking, which is creating impressions on your being, and every cell is a storehouse for your thought, years and years, incarnations and incarnations. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samacharam. Karma without sacrificial value creates bondage. Karma without desire removes bondage. Now he has used the word sacrificial values. We perform the karmas. If the karmas, like in ancient times of Vedic people used to do sacrifice, homas, that was to make the environment cleaner and better so that people can live and meditate and live to know thyself. Now, in modern times, what we have done is a whole and ionosphere. Now we have to sit down together and work in a way of sacrificial to remove these things, the bad effects to the nature. Then, after that, if we perform this karma without the desire, then that will remove us from the bondages of karma. Otherwise, we will remain in the bondages of the action performed by us. That is what I would like to add into the philosophy of art of war. Sayagyaha pragyaha srastava guruvaj prajapatiya anena pravishna tvamesa yo asitvasta kamdhuk. Sacrificial values unto which creation holds. It teaches doing without attachments, all desires and fulfillment. Idam namam. Now when people, the yogis, the rishis perform the yajnas and homas, they chant Agni Vacho, Idam Agne Swaha, Idam Namam. They say that we are giving this to the fire so that it works with the whole cosmos. This is not mine. Idam Namam. So my ego is not there in that. So that way, the sacrificial value, what we have to live, is of that kind. So from here to your being, to the cosmic world, and to the whole gigantic creation, we are helping every particle to grow. Then we live as a special being. Devan bhavaye yatanena te deva bhayantu vaha parasparam bhavyantah shreyah param vapsyatha. By a sacrificial way, you affect gods and they bestow peace unto you. Together, if we respect each other this way, we reach to higher state of evolution. What we do by doing this good for environment, then that way we help every individual being and we ourselves evolve highly and higher. Istan bhoganya bodeva dasyante yagya bhavitaha Tardattan pradayabhyo yo muktai sten eva saha. You should consume the remains after sacrificial way. Like it is mainly said among the rishis who do the yajna, homas, they do the right thing for the environment and the cosmos, then they consume it. Same way, in a modern text also we can do good for the society and the environment and the cosmos, which bad has been done, then we can take the remain fast. यज्ञ विशिष्टासिन संतो मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल विषय भुंजते ते त्वघं पापा ये पंचत्यात्मकारणाः. One who eats the remains of yajna, he clears away his sins of eating. He eats without sins. अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्याद् अन्न संभवः. यज्ञाद् भवति पर्जन्यो यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः. From food grain sustains all beings. By rain, grains are possible. From yajna comes rain, and yajna comes by performing together. Now, the homas which is being performed by rishis, they affect the environment, cosmos, and the rains comes and the food grains grow in a natural way, not by a GMO way. Now, this affects all beings; they are happy, and this is the right way of living. Karma brahmodhavam vidhi brahmakshar samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagyam pratishtitam. From karma, Ved or knowing takes birth. When we perform this kind of karma, which has a sacrificial value in our lives, a logical understanding, then our knowing takes birth. That knowledge comes from those akshars, stanzas or yajnas of sacrificial value. Now, the akshars definition is given by Vedas as Akshara Viktekta Aksharaha. The thing which is beyond the destruction, they are akshars. Now, Vedas have got that kind of akshars because the language is made by traversing inside by the rishis. Now, I was reading Samveda. I read 1/4 part of Samveda. At that time, I was working with Indian Navy, and the harbor I was there. The ships come and go. There was hardly any sound. I was sitting. I read 1/4 of it, and then I thought, "Oh Lord, I will search you anyhow." And as if the air spoke in my ear, said, "मुझे कहाँ ढूंढेगा? मैं तो हर कण में समाया हूँ." Where you will find me? I am inside every particle, as the particle is. So these are the akshars. It is there in the Shruti, the Vedas. They are something which is non-destructible. That's what it says. But if we live that kind of life logically, thinking good for a cosmos and all living beings, then from knowledge we go to in the process of knowing, to know thyself. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati yah adhairindriyaramo mogham partham sajivati. One who doesn't live in cycle of sacrificial way, O Arjuna, he lives for gratification of senses. That's what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. Yasatvatma rittireva syadatma trapadascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtas tasya karyana vidyate. One who is engrossed in his self, his feeling are being satisfied inside, his actions don't remain. Nava tasya kratenartho na krateneha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschidat artha vipashraya. Neither he is bothered what he gets or what he did, nor he praises himself. That kind of person, about which even Krishna spoke on second Puran, he is not dependent on others for his livelihood, because he works for the environment. As the environment is, he doesn't disturb the harmony of the cosmos. It is like a mutual aid understanding of, not Darwin, Kropotkin of Russian philosophy. Tasmat saktaha satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hya charan karma paramapnoti purusha. That's why without attachment to the action, karmas, without attachment takes you to the higher state. If you actually perform the karma without attachment, this takes you to the higher states of mind. Karmaneva hi sansiddhim astita janakadaya lokasangrahamevapi sampashyat kartumarhasi. Karma established in this way, it takes you to the real understanding. Like how Rishi Janaka did, he came to that awareness by doing that kind of actions. King Janaka was living that kind of life logically, and at that instant where he wanted to know enlightenment, then he, in his palace, he told every intellectual person that I'll give you everything if you give me an enlightenment within the span of time where I climb to my horse, within the time he wanted enlightenment. In his palace there was one man. His body was bent from 8 portions, so he was known as Ashtavakra. This man his body was bent from 8 places because inside the womb of his mother, he used to correct his father, and his father used to give him a curse. Due to that curse, his body was bent from 8 sides. And then when his father was perturbed, he said, "Don't worry, father, don't worry, dad, I'll solve this problem." He went to a kingdom, and when he went to a kingdom, he walked, his body was as if dancing, all were laughing, intellectuals unto him. He said to the king, "King, what you have kept this bunch of cobblers?" They were all angry. He said, "How can you say us a cobbler? We are intellectuals." He said, "Because you can understand body. You don't see the being inside me." He said, "King, I can give you enlightenment instantly." Then he told the king to catch water in his hand. That was a way of taking promise that time. And then he said to king, "Okay, king, say that you have given your kingdom to the saint." King said, "Tahastu, I have given it." Then he said, "Okay, king, say that you have given all your wives to the saint." King said, "Okay, I have given it." Then he said, "Okay, king, you say everything is given to your saint." "Okay." I said, "King, I order you to sit at where all shoes are kept of all people. Go there and sit." King was shocked because he was ordered by someone this first time. And he went there, sat there. Then he said, "Close your eyes now." And when he closed his eyes, the king was thinking about his kingdom. The Ashtavakra from outside, he said, "King, don't think about your kingdom. You have already given it to a saint." Now that king was perturbed. Now his mind again dwelled on the women he was enjoying with. He said, "King, don't think about those women. You have given them to the saint." Then he looked up and his mind went to the whole palace, people. He said, "Don't think, people are not yours." Then his mind got relaxed. Then he had nothing to think. Then he saw the inner sky, and that's where he could see the light inside. And he went for 5, 6, 7 hours. He was sitting there. He got that enlightenment by his master Ashtavakra. That's what Arjuna says. Krishna says to Arjuna about Janaka. How Janaka from action he understood the philosophy and took himself to liberation. Same way you understand this. Now further he says, Krishna says, "Yat yadacharati sreshtas tat deve taro janaha sa yat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate." As the great peoples perform, the normal people follow that way. Lokas tadanuvartate. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanvaptam avaptatyam varta eva cha karmani. Krishna says, "I have no karma in this 3 world to do, Arjuna. Yet I follow my karmas, because if I don't do, people will not follow." यदि हम न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्य तन्द्रितः मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः. People will follow if I follow, otherwise they will not follow. उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं शङ्करस्य च कर्ता स्यामुपहन्यामि मा प्रजाः. सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्यात् विद्वांस तथा सुक्तिश्चिकीर्षु लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Learned may similarly act without attachment and lead people on right path. That's what the Krishna says to Arjuna. Navrutti bhedam janayet jnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktah samacharan. Without disturbing minds of ignorant attached to fruits, learned ones must perform actions. If you are from the learned ones, you should not disturb the minds of the people who are not highly learned. If they are performing actions for the fruits, you should let them do those actions so that they don't leave that right thing also. Of course, this is not a karma which will take you to a liberation. Only into the path of liberation you can come by karmas which are done without desires, which are performed without desires of the actions, results of the actions. But he said intellectuals, one should not disturb the minds of not learned ones. Prakriteः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते. Nature's three gunas affects all non-aware things. He is the doer. Actually, the three gunas, Raja, Sattva and Tam of the nature, affects all beings, except the people who are not doing the karma, performing the actions without desires. तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो कर्म विभागयोः गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्त इति मत्वा न संजते. Attain one, O mighty armed. It is by for Arjuna he said, attain one, O mighty armed, understands nature, attributes, and resultive action. He doesn't get attacked. Now, the one who has attained, he knows how the nature's three attributes or gunas are affecting all human beings, and he doesn't get attached by those attributes of the natures. Prakrtir guna sammunaha sajante guna karmasu tat kratasna vido mandan kratasna vinna vichale. Nature's attributes, gunas, by those ignorant gets attached and engages fully. Why should not unsettle them, although these are no real karmas? Now again the same thing we will explain again. The intellectual one should not disturb the innocent, simple people who are not aware of when they are performing karmas and expecting results. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyaadhyatma chetasa nirasin nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigaccha. To me surrender all your karmas with full consciousness without being attached to the fruits of action. So he said, Arjuna, you fight. Ye me matam idam nityam manutishtanti manavaha Shraddhavanto anasuyanto muchyante te api karmavih. Those who follow my way as eternal, with faith becomes free of bondage of karma. Ye petat bhayasuyanto nanutishtanti me matam Sarvajnana vimurastan vidhi nastan chetasah. Those who out of envy don't follow my way, all knowledge of theirs gets ruined. Saddasam chetase swasyaha prakritir gyan vanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Accordingly, try by his own gunas of nature, learned one follows. So what can depression, how can depression affect him? How can depression accomplish? When a learned one understands how the attributes of nature affects him, and he is relaxed and he follows the Krishna, then there is no depression, no dukkha for him. Indriyashendriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavastito tyorna vasamagaccheto yasya paripantino. Of senses in the sense objects, attachment detached are checked. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion. They are the stumbling block on the faith. Swayan swadharmo viguna paradhar mat svanustisthat swadharme nidhanam shreyah paradharmo bhayavaha. Better to be in one's dharma, that is to perform required right action rather than to follow others' dharma or action. One's dharma is performing right action without getting attached to the fruits of the action. It's better to die in one's own dharma or rather than following others' dharma. At Arjun Vachana, Arjuna says to Krishna, Atken prayukto ayam papam charati purushaha anichanapi vasmeya valadivniyojitaha. Then by what one is impelled to sinful acts, even willingly as if engaged by force. Now this is a question of everyone, what Arjuna says. Then why one is impelled to do such sinful acts? As if he doesn't have any control unto himself. Sri Krishna says, Sri Krishna vacha kamesha krodesha rajo guna samudbhava mahasano mahapapma vidhiyenam iham vairinam. Lust and anger are born from the rajoguna and are the biggest enemy of our beings. Khumenavriyate vahanir-yatha darsho malencha yathol venavrato garbhas tatha tedenam avratam. Now he says, as fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, as the embryo is covered by form, the living entity is similarly covered or enshrouded by lust. Avratam jnanametena jnanino nityavarina kamarupena kaunteya dushtarupena nalena cha. Coverings are eternal enemy. This kind of covering are eternal enemy. And what was the covering? Enshrouding? Enshrouding of lust in the form of it's a fire which never satisfies. Indriyani manobuddhirasya adhisthanam uchyate etar vimohayatyesha jnanam avratya dehinam. Senses, mind and intellect and the sitting are the sitting place for the lust. Through them lust enshrouds the knowledge of beings. Tasmat tattvam endriyani yado niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahihenam jnana vijnana nasanam. Therefore, O best of Bharata, in the initial state curb lust by regulating senses and slay the destroyer of knowledge and self-knowledge. Indriyani paranya hurindriya parebhyam paramanah manastu parabuddhir yo buddhe paratastu manah. sense organs, higher than sense organs, is from matter higher is the sense organ, from sense organs higher is the man, buddhi, and further higher is the soul. From sense organs, senses are higher, from matter sense organs are higher, from sense organs senses are higher, from senses the intellect goes higher, from intellect mind goes higher, and from mind soul goes higher. Evam buddhe param buddhva sanstha bhayatman matmana jai satrum mahabahu kamarupam durasam. From intellect, knowing is high. You get that by conquering the enemy almighty in a form of lust. That's how finished the third work of Metaphysical Art of War, Action from Liberation, from action to liberation. That is the philosophy of VAJRAMUKTI also. So, thank you.